Hey babes! Now you guys know that the L'Oreal Rouge signatures are some of my favorite liquid lipsticks of all time, regardless of whether it's drugstore or high-end, because I love that weightless texture on the lips. They stay comfortable, they sometimes leave a little bit of a stain, but they wear very well, they do not crack, they do not make my lips look gunky or feel really clayey and thick and uncomfortable. And they've recently just extended the shade range with the Parisian Sunset collection. Before I get into these swatches, I do want to mention that I've seen up to 8 new shades in the Parisian Sunset launch, but this always differs by market. So before some of you get up in my hair again about having missed shades, there are only 5 shades from the Parisian Sunset collection in Singapore. If you are in other countries, other markets, you may have 6, 7, 8 shades. I cannot confirm which countries have which colors, but in Singapore there are only 5. So I'm going to swatch all 5 for you today. Now this PR kit that I received does contain a mix of the older original shades in the lineup as well as the 5 new ones. So I'm going to highlight the ones that are new. First one you'll see here is 131 I Captivate. This is a really dark prune purple. And then you have 129 I Lead, which looks like a deep rosy brown pink. So very 1990s Mac Twig kind of color. And then we have 130 I Amaze, and this one looks like sort of a brickish, soft muted brown red. Here I have 128 I Decide, which is quite a bright fuchsia pink, and then a bright coral red, 132 I Radiate. The Rouge signatures are not a new formula. They have been around for quite a while, and in fact they are one of the most popular drugstore liquid lipsticks in Singapore. They get 4.9 out of 5 stars consistently on Lazada and Shopee, so this is very popular. I guess a lot of women like me like that really lightweight texture that does not feel like one of those thick clay-like liquid lipsticks. They do have a slight fragrance, but the general texture, finish and wear of them is very high-end. I would expect these to be something that came out from Dior or YSL rather than L'Oreal. Hence my obsession with them. First shade I am going to swatch is 128 I Decide. This is a bright pink, not entirely a red pink, but also not totally blue toned either. So this could be a pink that a lot of fair to medium Asian skin tones might be able to pull off. Now, one interesting thing you should definitely take note of is that when you are applying some of these shades, they will sometimes look like they go on a little bit patchy and not totally opaque. That is just the nature of the formula. This is something that I've experienced with other lightweight liquid matte formulas as well, including the Dior Ultra Care liquid lipsticks, as well as the Bourjois Rouge Edition liquid velvet. Definitely not something that is unique to the L'Oreal formula. It is just how light the texture is, and oftentimes if I just let it dry down and look at it when it's fully dry, it looks perfectly fine. Of course, with some of the very strong and very dark shades, you can always go on with a tiny bit more product in the areas where it looks a little bit sheer, but wait for it to dry down before you decide. That said, of course, if you love one stroke, fully pigmented, ultra thick liquid lipsticks, then this formula is another one that is not going to be for you. I just wanted to put that out there because I have gotten some not so happy comments before from people saying that I'm misleading them because these go on not entirely opaque. That's just the nature of the formula, baby. It's not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion, so I'm definitely not going to present it as a bad thing. 129 I Lead is a rosy, dusky, brown pink. Very 90s, very Kylie Jenner. If you like that My Lips but duskier sort of a color, then this is the one. I'm just gonna jump the gun and say this is probably gonna be my favorite of the 5, even though there are 2 more shades to swatch. This is such a beautiful terracotta brick shade. It is not too orange, it is not too red, it is not too brown. This is just perfect for fall. It is classy, it is elegant, but it's just something different. It's not a typical red brown, it's not a typical orange, it's not too dull and brown and cocoa-y, so it's not overly heavy looking either. It's just gorgeous. I would suggest this for everyone who has neutral to warm undertones to check out. Now 131 I Captivate is probably the most dramatic of the bunch. It is a very, very dark prune purple, like deep purple with a shot of maybe like brown thrown in as well. It doesn't look like it's gonna have a ton of red in it, so if you are very afraid of these sort of very dark, very rich, dramatic colors, you may want to steer clear of this one. Because of how deep this shade is, I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit more visible when there are uneven, streaky or thinner areas on some parts of my lips, so I'm waiting to let it dry down, and this might be the only shade out of the 5 that I would assume you would need to dip back in and do a second coat with. But again, I will remind you, with some of these liquid ink type formulas, they do actually look more even once they dry down and set on your lips, so don't start panicking and going back to build more and more and more, because you'll just spoil the finish and make it more streaky. Give it a minute or 2, let it dry down. Do not press your lips together, do not do anything like drinking or eating, etc. Just let it sit, let it dry down perfectly, and then check if you do need to go on with the second layer. Now it's been about a couple of minutes, so I'm zoomed in a little for you to take a look at the color. You can see maybe around the borders or some areas of my lips where the applicator sort of scraped more product off. It is a tiny bit sheerer, but if I were to lean back and not sit so close up, it's not really noticeable. It looks fine from afar. So understandably, this is one of those shades that will require a little bit more care during application. If you're not certain, then just apply a very light layer of lip pencil that matches this shade around the borders and just sort of fade it in before you go on with the liquid, and you'll have no problems. I personally find this to look pretty darn good once it's dried down. It is not noticeably uneven or streaky. Hence why I mentioned earlier, do not panic if you apply it and it's not 100% even. This type of formula does look a little bit better once it dries down. Again, while this looks like it is very, very cool toned in the tube, once it's on the lips and once it's dried down, you can see a little bit of that plummy brown red undertone coming through. So if you have warmer neutral undertone skin, you can still pull this off. It's just that if you have extremely golden yellow toned skin and you want to wear this, just make sure you have some eye makeup or blusher that is also on the cooler tone side, just to tie the whole look together. Okay, and this definitely stained my lid. Look at that. I should probably have swatched this last. 132 I Radiate is the last shade, and this one is a beautiful bright coral red. Coral is one of those colors that is so huge in East Asia, probably because of K-beauty and K-dramas, but that isn't too much of a thing in the rest of the world, so it's just one of those strange phenomenons. Speaking of K-drama and K-beauty, the L'Oreal Rouge signature formula is also pretty good for doing ombre transfer-proof lips because of the sheerer nature of the texture. You can apply a tiny bit in the middle of your lips and then use a finger to just pat and sheer it out towards the edges. Once it sets, it's locked down, you're good to go for the rest of the day. So that is it for a very quick overview and lip swatches of the 5 new Rouge signature shades that have launched in Singapore. As far as I can tell, these are going to be permanent, they are not going to disappear after the season, and my favorite shade out of the 5 is obviously 130 I Amaze, which I put right back on. I am addicted to this color, it is so great for fall, and it's one of those shades that looks kind of dramatic on paler skins, and it looks very sultry and sexy on deeper skin tones as well, so go and check out this color. And that is it. I hope you guys found this video helpful as always. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!